The long-running saga over the Epstein files continues, with Democrats now releasing a note Donald Trump allegedly sent to Jeffrey Epstein marking his 50th birthday. The note, with an outline of a woman's body, is in the form of a conversation between Jeffrey and Donald, and finishes with Donald saying, "A pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret." Trump and his team deny any knowledge of the letter. It's certainly a bizarre story. And I asked our US analyst, Kristin Tate, where it might be going.
You know, it's so hard to say. I find it very odd that when the Democrats were in power, they had no interest in releasing anything related to Jeffrey Epstein. And now that they find themselves out of power, they're pushing for transparency, and they're telling us the reason we haven't gotten it is because Trump is somehow implicated. I've been saying for a long time, I've been writing articles about the fact that the Trump administration really should just release everything. People want to know the truth. And it's not about whether or not Trump was involved. It's about the fact that people feel like their government has been lying to them. So Trump claims he has nothing to do with this letter to Epstein. His reps are saying no. And I don't even think it's about that. It's about people just wanting to feel like our government is telling us the truth at this point.
Yeah, I think you're right. Absolutely. Transparency is key. But when it comes to this so-called letter, the White House spokesperson, Caroline Leavitt, has been out there. She says the latest piece published about this by the Wall Street Journal proves this entire birthday card story is false. And as she said all along, she says President Trump didn't draw this and he didn't sign it. And the Trump legal team is still looking at suing people for putting this story out there. So we'll see what happens with that. I want to move on to a speech that the president has given where he's talked about his war on wokeness, if you like. He's going to continue to fight against the woke. Here's some of what he had to say.
The woke agenda is practically gone. It's deep-seated. We have to make sure it's out. It's very bad. It's like a weed. You think you killed it, and then it starts growing again. So we have to be careful.
Yeah, I mean, good on him for having a crack at this. It's political correctness, it's wokeness, whatever you want to call it, but it's infecting all sorts of debates, particularly when it comes to identity politics and gender and transgender issues.
Yes, and Trump is correct. Wokeness is dying. I don't think it will ever be dead in this country, but it's certainly out of fashion. You know, Chris, I have some friends who work in academics at the college level, and they're all telling me the same thing, which is these younger kids who are coming into college now are pretty much right of center compared to the kids who were coming into college a decade ago. Why is that? It's because young people have this desire to rebel against authority, and these children were all raised in schools with finger-wagging, middle-aged guidance counselors and school teachers pushing woke nonsense, and they are rebelling against that. So conservatism has become kind of cool again, and it's this younger generation, I think, that is kind of killing wokeness. And of course, Trump and his leadership from the top is helping that. He is the ultimate symbol of anti-woke.
Gee, I hope you're right, but to underline the point you're making, there was a 12-year-old who spoke alongside the president. Have a look at that.
When I was in 5th grade, my school forced me to teach my kindergarten buddy about changing his gender using a book called My Shadow is Pink. The book said you can choose your gender based on feelings instead of how God made us. I knew this was not right, but I was afraid of getting in trouble. After my family spoke up, the school treated us badly, and kids started bullying me and my brother because of our faith. And the school did nothing to stop it.
Yeah, good on him. He's a classic example. He's got that indoctrination and he's fighting against it, Kristin. I hope this happens in our country. We get people arcing up, but our schools are now they're churning out Greta Thunbergs by the score. And, of course, you can be Greta whether you're a male or a female. So everybody wants to be Greta Thunberg. Hopefully we get a bit of a woke backlash in this country. But I want to ask you again about a topic we spoke about a couple of weeks ago, and that is the law and order issue in D.C. and the way the president has got the National Guard involved there. And of course, now you mentioned then that there was the potential for action in Chicago, but that's blown up into a big controversy now. Do you think anything's going to happen in Chicago?
Trump is saying he is going to send the National Guard there. He's also threatening to do it, or has threatened to do it, in New York City. This is something that needs to happen. The crime rates in American cities right now are completely out of control. It's not just Chicago. I saw a news story this morning, Chris, about a Ukrainian woman who escaped from Ukraine because she was terrified of the war over there, moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, was just riding on the train and was killed for absolutely no reason in a random attack on an American train. This is happening in American cities. Today, U.S. cities on public transit can be, in some situations, more dangerous than being in a war zone in Ukraine. It's absolutely crazy. Of course, Chicago's ground zero for this kind of violence, gang shootings all over the place, drugs, tent cities, homelessness. And this all happens, most of it anyway, under Democrat leadership in these cities. If they can't protect their citizens and keep their streets safe, Donald Trump's going to have to step in and do that job for them. So I hope he does good on his promise and sends the National Guard in there.
Yeah, well, let's have a look at what the authorities say about this.
This is an opportunity for us to go into sanctuary cities and work against these sanctuary city policies and not let them deter ICE from being able to do our work, to go after the worst of the worst, just like the guy behind me who committed sexual assault against a minor. I mean, these criminal aliens have wreaked havoc on the American people for years, and that time is over. And even when we have pushback from Democrat leadership, that's not going to stop us. We're going to continue to go after the worst of the worst.
Yeah, when you've got people talking about enforcing the law like this, and when you have crime problems, and that murder you referred to was absolutely horrific, a senseless murder of an innocent woman travelling on a train. Of course, the public's going to support this. Donald Trump's been out there, as usual, on social media. He says he loves the smell of deportations in the morning. Extraordinary, typical Trump, talking about the chipperlips now instead of apocalypse now to sort things out in Chicago. And he's had a go at the media too in the way they've been framing this. Have a look at this exchange.
That's fake news. When you say that, darling, that's fake news.
Well, why would the Department of Defense?
Listen, be quiet. Listen. You don't listen. You never listen. That's why you're second rate. We're not going to war. We're going to clean up our cities. We're going to clean them up so they don't kill 5 people every weekend. That's not war. That's common sense.
Geez, so much on his plate, Kristin. Still trying to settle the war in Ukraine, still trying to help out with a peace settlement in the Middle East. But this war on crime at home is probably going to be even more important for the country.
Yeah, it's certainly something that affects many Americans every day. And Trump is just a genius at this. He constantly is forcing liberals to defend the undefendable because they will just oppose anything that he supports. So he says he wants to get rid of violent, criminal, illegal immigrants, something that polls tell us 80% of Americans support. And he basically forces them into the position where they're now having to defend not deporting illegal immigrant criminals, especially in a place like Chicago. And the Democrats are out there screaming about it. It's just absurd.
Great to talk to you as ever, Kristin. We'll catch up next week.
Thank you, Chris.
Never a dull moment with the Donald, is there?